Order. Just a brief housekeeping thing. We've had some issues with people making some comments that our microphones aren't on and people can't hear us. So make sure they're on and make sure you speak into them as best you can so people watching can hear us. Items for review and discussion, capital improvement program.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this evening, Greg Rokos, our Public Works Director, is here to talk about our capital improvement plan. Greg?
So good evening. I'm going to just briefly talk about the capital improvements plan. It is in your agenda in your packets. It's back there in the section where we're going to ask for approval tonight. It's really nothing you haven't seen before. We've shown you all the different sheets. I just want to run through it just kind of briefly just to make sure you understand what's in there. It just has a cover sheet and an index. It has a brief explanation of what capital improvements plan is. And basically, our capital improvements plan is a 5-year plan that has to have assets that can last more than 5 years and are worth more than $50,000, and the project has to be funded. Those are the 3 criteria in order to get into the plan. So there's a lot of times we talk about different projects we like to do. Those are actually not in your capital improvements plan. They're more in your wish list. And so the plan just goes through and explains what a capital improvements plan is, what are the type of things that are in there. And then we have actual detailed sheets, and we've shown you these sheets before, that every project has its own individual sheet that has a map of the city to point out where it is and a more detailed map, and explains the funding, what year the funding is and where it comes from. And then it tells you what it's going to be spent on, whether it's like right-of-way, construction, design, that type of thing. Then in the back is, and you can find this on page 131 and 132 of your packets, is the summary sheet. And the summary sheet just breaks it down for you, where it starts showing you the different groups of projects we have in the CIP. So the first group is facilities. So you can see there's different facility groups. And this just isn't Public Works, this is the whole city. So it includes things in the Public Works facility, includes City Hall, includes the police water line, includes the concrete work that happened up at the fire station. It also includes our stormwater projects that we're currently doing. It includes transportation projects, which are mainly street type projects, and also includes our wastewater projects and water projects that we have. So each one has a different category of funding, and those are the different projects that we have. Like I said before, this is nothing new. It's just that we've compiled it into one CIP for you, for an opportunity for you to review it from the past. And then later tonight, we'll have an opportunity to, or you'll have an opportunity to approve our 5-year CIP. So it is available for everybody to view. And like I said, it's a quick overview. I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's really no new information. It's just kind of all compiled together.
Any questions?
I have one.
Go ahead.
I don't quite understand the numbers here. On all of them, not on all of them, but on a lot of them, the total, like for wastewater treating, WW-4, the total is 1.9 million, and the unfunded is 6.1. So, is the total mean that that's the total that's funded so far, but we're going to need an additional 6.1 to do the whole thing? Is it?
Correct.
Okay.
So, so in the plan, it shows the fiscal years of what is planned to be spent, and then the last year is what's unfunded, and then it should come to a total at the end under the last column total.
Okay, so at the very end, we can add those two up, and that's what is necessary, like the 77.2 million plus the 59.7 is at the very, very bottom in the blue line. So that's, what's that, 60 and $137 million or something?
Correct. Looks like in my spreadsheet in the last line, I didn't get it added up correctly. So it should be all the lines that are funded for the total, 177,098, plus the previous 5 years should be added in that last total. I must have made a mistake when I did my spreadsheet.
Oh, I see.
Formula error, the dreaded formula error.
I see well, and also the last two columns switched. For every item, the last is unfunded, the next to the last is total, but then when you get to the blue, or to the summary, you switch those two, so I see now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I made a formula error there.
Right,
Okay.
and we can correct that for the
Yeah.
final record.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Greg, how come our water line replacement just keeps getting higher and higher? I mean, I think we had something here a couple weeks ago that talked about it being $33 million for all that. Now it's looking like it's saying $60 million on here.
It's just strictly that was due to the price of what it's starting to cost for pipe and installation. So the pipe was lower, and now the cost to install is going up and up and up. So
Which
for
you're
instance,
basically saying paying as you go is not a good answer because we can't control the cost today, let alone in 20 years is what you're saying.
well, we're just in a unique circumstance right now today with COVID. For instance, lumber went through the roof, and now dimensional lumber is back down nearly to the price it was. PVC pipe was very high, or was very low, and like $15 a stick, and went up to almost $65, $70 a stick. But it's also, hopefully that price will come back down. So, I'm just kind of gauging what it is today and just carrying it out. I can't guarantee you what the price will be today, next month, or a year from now.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No.
Go ahead.
This might be more of a Sheila question, I'm not sure. So of this that it says it's funded, is some of it funded by bonds, things like that, other than just funded by general funds?
Yes, so in his detailed sheets, it will tell what the funding source is for each project.
Correct. If you
In the
take a look,
specific ones,
yeah,
not the
take a
overall?
look on the left-hand side, it says funding source, and it lists there whether it's a general fund, whether it's a bond, or through the TDD, or a grant.
Perfect, thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, you have anything else?
No, Mayor, that's all we have for the work session this evening.
Adjourn the work session, and we'll call the regular meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Kraft.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Larkey,
Here.
Councilmember Savage,
Here.
Councilmember Powell,
Here,
Councilmember Trutzel,
Here.
Councilmember Kraft,
Here,
Councilmember Clark,
Here.
Councilmember Goff,
Present.
Councilmember Lawson,
here.
Councilmember Peak.
Here.
Thank you. No, we have no personal appearances tonight. Consent agenda. One motion, non-debatable, to approve the recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from the consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda. A motion approving the final reading of Bill 2021-53.
An ordinance approving a final plat for Martinwood Addition Lot 1A and 1B, being a replat of Lot 3 in the north half of Lot 2 in Martinwood Addition, as specified in the plat legal description. The replat being a tract of land in the southwest quarter of Section 6, Township 46 North, Range 32 West in the city of Belton, Cass County, Missouri, and authorizing the mayor and city clerk to sign the plat for recording with the Cass County Recorder's Office.
Present.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Savage,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Trutzel,
Aye.
Powell,
yes.
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak,
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motion carries. B, a motion approving final reading of Bill 2021-54.
An ordinance approving a second amendment to the first amended and restated tax increment financing redevelopment agreement and the second amended and restated tax increment financing redevelopment agreement by and between the City of Belton, Missouri and Y. Belton LLC.
Present.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Savage,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Trutzel,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes?
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Peak. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
Motion carries. C, a motion approving first reading of Bill 2021-08.
An ordinance amending sections 42-36 rates inside the city, 42-38 water rates for approved water districts or local governments, 42-39 rates for water consumed outside city, 42-296 sewer system user rates of the Unified Development Code of the City of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Mayor, I'll discuss this. I'm going to go ahead and let people know I'm voting no, just because I think we with the infrastructure, water infrastructure group that we got going on, I think right now it's not a time for us to look at the water rates when we're trying to develop a plan. I think this is something we can always bring up in the future, but to keep trying to bring it back up every couple months, I just think we need to get rid of it now, and then maybe a couple months, based on what our water infrastructure committee decides, then we can always reevaluate this. So at the present time, I'm going to keep voting no on the water. That's my comments for tonight.
Go ahead, Councilman Go.
Mayor, I'm going to have to vote no also because we have a committee put together to review this, and I have not heard anything getting back to us on that at this point. So at this point, I will say no.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to comment on that, Mayor.
Go ahead.
My concern would be that we, whether to not postpone, I don't know that we're moving forward. I haven't heard anything from the committee that's put together, so I'd like to at least hear from that. I'd prefer not to drop the subject. We still need water line replacement. So whether it be move it down the line a while or till we get a report back, whatever is the best way to do that, but I don't want to drop it because it's something that the rates may not be the deal, but we still want water line replacement. So how are we going to approach that, or does this even matter at this point? So.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your thought about keeping it going. My thought is if we just get rid of it now, we can always bring it back up later when we have the plan fully developed and move forward that way. That's my thought. I understand your thought, I do.
So the next question I have, this is, do we need to approve anything to do with this to set the water rates for this season this year at all to keep charging accordingly to what we're charging now? That's a question that I've never had to ask because we usually can work this out. So what is it?
Go ahead.
If you're, Councilman Savage, if you remember right, in the budget last year, we put money for this year towards the actual costs. Now with that actual, it's not an ongoing number, so that's one of the things we talk about is making sure we have an ongoing number. But it is, we put $484,000 away or some number off the top of my head is $400 and some thousand away from last year's budget, cash carryover, and we also took the money that, I don't even know, Sheila, you might help me, the $220,000 that come from the 3 budgets prior towards it, which actually went in last year's budget, and then we actually put in another we put about $480,000 for this year while we worked on this issue.
Yeah, Councilman, that's for replacement. I got that. The question is, do we have rates set? Do we have to set rates come fiscal year in order to charge for water at all?
Well, that's a question for staff, but I think if we don't do anything, the rates stay as they were from last year.
And I can think that, but I don't know that. That's my question.
Patrick or
Count-
Sheila?
Council member, how do you want to handle it?
Councilman Savage, there was not a rate increase from Kansas City, Missouri, or from Little Blue this year.
So it's set the same.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Took us a little bit, but we got there. Anybody else? Any other discussion? Go ahead.
I guess my question is, since we're talking about this committee, when can the rest of the council hear what the committee, I mean, has the committee come up with a plan, or are they still discussing it? When is this gonna come to the rest of the council?
Soon, we're still working on, we think we have a plan, but we want to do some other checking and verifying and figuring out some funding sources and stuff like that, so it'll be soon.
Okay,
not too
1
much
month,
longer.
2 months, by the end of the year?
I'm gonna say by the end of the year, just to be on the safe side.
Okay, thank you.
I hope it don't take that long, but that's just to be on the safe side, so no one throws it back at me, so. Any other discussion? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
This one's a voice vote for first reading.
Oh, voice vote, I'm sorry. I thought it was, since it was continued. A voice vote. All in favor? Aye. All against? Aye. Motion fails.
Who voted yes, please?
I think
Thank you.
D, a motion approving first reading of Bill 2021-55.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Belton, Missouri, amending Section 8-119, costs, fees, and surcharges of the Code of Ordinances, City of Belton.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Do anybody need to elaborate on this?
I would just like to let you know that items D and E are both related. They are both due to the Show Me Courts court automation software.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. E, a motion approving first reading of Bill 2021-56.
An ordinance authorizing an agreement with the Office of State Courts Administrator for the implementation of the Show Me Courts court automation software, authorizing the purchase of a software interface between the Brazos ticket writers and the Show Me Courts systems, and approving the reappropriation and revision of the City of Belton fiscal year 2022 adopted city budget for the purpose of funding the required Missouri Supreme Court rules requirements.
Present.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councilman Powell.
Well, I just have I have nothing against this, but a lot of the stuff we get about on the agenda every once in a while, I guess every once a month, is about the municipal courts. And I'll be the first to admit, I go through it and I try to understand it, but there's so many initials and phrases that I don't understand. I wondered if I would just suggest, and this may not be the right place, but we have a quick work session sometime for somebody to explain what all those figures mean, because maybe I got arrested for something, but I didn't see it.
Okay. Work on that. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. F, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2021-57.
An ordinance approving an amendment to the city's zoning map from R1 Single Family Residential District to an R2 Two Family Residential District for the property located at 210 and 212 Mill Street, Belton, Cass County, Missouri.
Present. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And I will first add, there is a clerical scrivener's error on, I had that open, on line 6. It says C2 and it should say R2.
Thank you. We will get that changed for the final.
Okay.
And Mayor, I need to confirm who seconded that. I got the motion was made by Dave, and
Second.
thank you, Councilman Trutzel.
So, in the thing, I'm trying to find it now, so make sure everybody understands the error.
In the seventh paragraph, right after on the first page under section F.
I don't know why I can't find it now, though, that's the problem. All right, anybody? So it says to C2 commercial, it should say R2 residential. So we'll make that change in the final draft. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Councilmember Crowe.
So I had a question. I was thinking about this area and how much is R1 that maybe is supposed to be R2. Do we have a lot of other duplexes that are right now zoned as single family? How does that work?
That's a very good question, and Mill Street is primarily a single-family residential zoning district with single-family homes. There are just 2 or 3 duplex units along Mill Street, and this is just one of those.
So are we just correcting one by request then? So if others needed that, that would be a possibility as
Yes,
well?
of course, yes. Mhm.
Well, I'd say too that we're not, from what I recall from the planning commission, we're not doing it to make more R2s, but we have an ordinance that says if like a hurricane comes, or I guess around here it's a tornado, but anyway, if a tornado comes and wipes them out, they have to rebuild as R1 because that's an R1. But right now, unless we change it. But when they went to their insurance company, even though there's no tornadoes coming, the insurance company said, no, if you're zoned the wrong way, we're not going to insure you. So it's not that they're waiting for a tornado to utilize this R2 or whatever. Right now, they can't get insurance. That's the way it was presented.
I believe it's not insurance, I believe it's mortgage,
Okay, sorry.
if I remember right,
Something that
correct?
they needed to live there.
It's a mortgage. A mortgage company wanted to be zoned R2 to be able to rebuild it if they had to. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for a second reading on that?
We have a motion for a second reading and a second. Any discussion on the motion for a second reading?
What is the need for that, at least that much?
We discussed it in a prior meeting and the folks are here tonight, so I just
Okay.
checked in with them and thought maybe we could take care of it this evening.
Sure, thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, is this roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Find it again. So it would be motion approving second reading of Bill 2021-57.
An ordinance approving an amendment to the city's zoning map from an R1 single-family residential district to an R2 two-family residential district for the property located at 210 and 212 Mill Street, Belton, Cass County, Missouri.
Present.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Savage,
Aye.
Powell,
Yes?
Trutzel,
Aye.
Kraft,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Goff,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Peak.
Aye.
Motion carries. Figure out where I'm at. Hold on.
G.
First page. G, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2021-58.
An ordinance of the City of Belton, Missouri, creating a new Chapter 6, Article 22, mobile vending, amending Chapter 6, Article 6, ice cream vendors, and amending Appendix A, Schedule of Fees and Charges of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Can staff, is there a reason, I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out why, is this just a ordinance update, or,
Well, it's actually to allow food trucks.
say it again?
sorry. It allows food trucks, it amends that section.
So currently, food trucks are not contemplated in either the Unified Development Code or the city code. So there was a significant amount of staff confusion regarding enforcement and regarding whether or not they were even allowed. Andrea noticed this and brought this up to specifically create a section for them so that they can be regulated and obviously also clearly permitted. in
So
the city.
food trucks, they got to have a business license to operate in our community, is that correct?
Yes, and they already were getting business licenses. This just outlines regulations that they have to follow. Because right now, one, it's unclear if you could even have a food truck in town. Secondly, it's also unclear like where you could park, how you could park.
Does the health department oversee them too, if they're from
Yes.
Cass County, or if they're from Kansas City or Jackson County?
So that they will still have health, it's part of the ordinance, they do still need to have health inspections.
Okay,
completed.
thank you.
Any other
I
discussion?
do have a question.
Go ahead.
Patrick, does this rate, is it higher than it has been in the past, or is it the same, or?
Well, I think this is also open to all staff, because I think everybody here kind of worked on this project with Andrea taking the lead. But it seems like there have been more food trucks coming to Belton recently. This ordinance and the fees associated with it or the regulations and the fees associated with it generally track with all of the surrounding communities.
And that's an annual fee that they pay?
Yes.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilmember Crowe.
So is this only food trucks? When I was reading it, it looked more like it could have been retail. Will it include nonprofit? Is that part of the exceptions? I know there were 3 exceptions, but I just wasn't really.
So I'll
Clear.
defer some of the questions on the particulars to Andrea, but it is broader because again, it's not clear under the code if you could do mobile retail in most circumstances. So instead, it takes it not from a food truck approach, but from a mobile vending approach. So all types of vending, whether that be retail goods or whether that be food and drink and stuff like that. Obviously, it did exclude ice cream trucks. Ice cream trucks have they're completely different than food trucks in the way that they operate. Health inspections, because they're not preparing any food. So that is one of the things. And then Andrea can answer any more particulars, I think, on the ordinance.
It is broader in the sense of being mobile vending versus just food trucks. It's easy to say food trucks, everybody knows what that means. But the nonprofit status is already an exemption in Chapter 6 for license fees.
One more thing, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Just want to make sure, if it's Parks and Rec or the city, they're exempt? Is that the way I read it?
There is an exemption built in for park and city-sponsored events.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Crowe.
Sorry, another question.
You're right.
So if, like, One More Scoop, they've got their business license for One More Scoop, but they do also have their, well, it's not an ice cream truck per se, but it does have ice cream vending. So would they have to have a separate for their mobile site than their business?
Theirs is a mobile vending truck versus an ice cream truck. That's correct.
Okay.
I believe they currently have 2 licenses.
Mhm.
And I know that we discussed that. And I believe that
It would
they
be,
currently
it would
do.
be an additional license.
I
Yeah.
would think
Because
they,
it is
they
a
prepare,
different,
they
it is a
prepare.
different premises, it is a different central operation that is occurring.
Okay.
They
So-
also have 2 health inspections because they're inspected differently for the 2 types of operations.
Okay, so just because someplace would have a business in another city, they can't use that one for their mobile license. They do still have to have a mobile license to be here.
They need to have a Belton business license and a Cass County health permit.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. City Council liaison reports.
Got a park update. Fall Fest was this past weekend. It was fantastic. It was a nice time out on Main Street and at Memorial Park. There is a baseball tournament at Markey Park this coming weekend. Cruise night coming up on the 25th, and the search for a new parks director is underway.
Seeing none, Mayor's Communications, the only thing I'll talk about was the Fall Fest. It was good, a lot of people. I was in a meeting today, someone mentioned that the train hauled 1,400 people back and forth from the park to Main Street, so that seemed like a huge number to me. So it was a good turnout, so that's all I have. City Manager report.
Yes, just a reminder of the schedule that our next meeting will be next Tuesday versus the following Tuesday. You'll recall that was rescheduled in order to allow attendance at the Missouri Municipal League Annual Conference that's being held in St. Louis this year. Following that, our next meeting will not be until October 12th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any council communication? Seeing none, I'll have a motion. Is there a second? Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. I'm getting there.